Hello and welcome to our Sony E3 press conference post-mortem. I'm your host Cheeky Devlin, and joining me this morning we have Corazon De Leon. Say hello, Cora.
Hello.
And we have got Peds. Peds, say hello.
Hello, I'm back.
Again, we can't get rid of him. So we're talking about Sony's conference, which was at the fun time of 2 a.m. in the morning. And yeah, so we're going to go through that. There's some interesting stuff to talk about, and see what they had to show. Now, just diving straight on in, the very first thing we kind of started off with, despite the sound issues that were happening on some of the streams, was Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, the kind of standalone follow-up to Uncharted 4. Now, I was a big fan of Uncharted 4, so I mean, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to this one. What about you, Cora? I mean, will you be picking up Lost Legacy?
I love the Uncharted games. I don't actually have a PlayStation 4 at the moment, but my brother does, so I will be buying it for that. I think it looks very, very good, and I'm quite excited for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially. I don't know if you've played 4, then you'll know how good that was. But if not, you should definitely play that. But yeah, Lost Legacy. Looks good. It looks, you know, a slightly different, kind of, fuck, lost my words. A slightly different, premise. It's not Nathan Drake. It's I can't remember her name from the second one. So yeah, that could be quite interesting. What about you, Peds? Have you got any interest in that?
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good. Obviously the sound was a bit naff, but yeah, I enjoyed the look of it, and I've enjoyed the 4 Uncharted games that I've played, which is 5 actually, including Golden Abyss. Even though it's
Yeah.
considered the black sheep, I actually enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm definitely considering picking this up. So nothing much to say other than it looks good. Really?
Yeah, I mean, all they really showed, was kind of CGI trailer. I think there was a little bit of gameplay mixed in, but yeah, they didn't really show too much of it. And to be honest, I think that was a kind of theme that kind of followed through the whole conference. When everything there was a lot of cinematic trailers, and there was only 1 or 2 games where they actually spent any time kind of showing you gameplay and stuff. So that kind of wasn't great, but certainly, I mean, Uncharted, 4 was fantastic. So this is a definite for me. And I can't wait to kind of get my hands on it. Which then kind of rolled onwards to kind of DLC for probably the biggest game of this year so far, which was Horizon, the Frozen Wilds, which again kind of some sound issues on the stream. So, but yeah, that looks really good as well. And I think once I've finished Horizon, I'm definitely going to be looking to that. Again, Cora, have you had a chance to play much of Horizon, if anything?
I've played a little bit of it. I thought it was slightly overrated for what it was, but it's still a reasonable game. Any DLC for it is just it looks a bit more of the same to me, but it looks quite exciting. Once I finally get my PS4, I'll probably pick up the game and the DLC, to be honest with you. So yeah, looking good for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think again with Uncharted, it's definitely worth picking up and playing. It is really good. I think for me, it suffered a little bit because I went to it after Breath of the Wild, and so you've gone for which for me is Breath of the Wild, which is like the best open world game I've ever played, to Horizon, which is excellent as well. But I think it's suffered slightly in comparison for me. But definitely, kind of once I'm through the main story in Horizon, I'll definitely be looking to do Frozen Wilds as well. What about you, Peds? Have you got Horizon?
Yeah, I've got Horizon. I rented it. I did, and I recently picked it up offer. But yet after playing Breath of the Wild, I wanted to give it a break before playing another big open world game. But I will get around to it soon. But at the moment, I'm playing Kingdom Hearts, and I've played Evil Within. I also want to finish some other games, so it's going to be a while before I get around to it. But the DLC looked interesting. I have no idea what was being said, so I don't know if story-wise it'll be any good. But it looked good, and it was nice snowy peaks and stuff. So yeah, looks cool.
Yeah, I think it looks like a nice change of scenery for the game because obviously Horizon's got a lot of green and meadows and looks really nice, really colourful. So for it to kind of go right, we're going to focus on this kind of cold mountainous area. Looks quite good. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on if you're into Horizon, which I know a very very large number of people are. And then they kind of went into their first kind of proper look at something where they spent some time with it, and they showed Days Gone, which looks good. It looks very like The Last of Us. It's which it's not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, I mean it does look very very similar to that game. The only difference I can see. Really is in what the zombies are like. The fact that you've got huge crowds of them, which is really cool. And then a zombie bear, which was pretty awesome as well. So yeah, I mean, definitely, I'm still interested in that. Peds, what do you think? I mean, do you think that looks like something you'll be interested in?
Yeah, I remember. I can't remember exactly what I said last year when it was initially shown, but it seemed interesting to me up until the big zombies came along, the big horde of zombies.
Yeah.
But this year, it showed them being utilized in a different kind of way, where you can attract them to other people to try and kill them and move them from certain positions, so you can like access something or someone. And that actually seemed a lot more interesting than just, oh no, we're running from a big horde of zombies. So
Yeah.
and obviously zombie bear is cool. Whoever doesn't like zombie bear needs to have a smacked ass. But yeah, I actually like the look of it. It does kind of remind me of The Last of Us, as you said, but hopefully it will differentiate itself by being a different game style with different gameplay. And it looks like it does vary it up a bit, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think the fact that you could like use zombies as weapons almost was really cool. So yeah, hopefully there's more stuff like that to give it that kind of differentiating factor from The Last of Us. Cora, again, man, what did you think about Days Gone?
I'm a bit skeptical about it. The game looks interesting, and I love Zombie Bear. I'll get that out of the way, but I'm starting to get survival horror fatigue a little bit. It looks like more of the same of the kind of games we've been getting since sort of 2008, 2009, 2010, and it's starting to get to the point now where I want something new. That's not necessarily the game's fault, but it's just the kind of the genre as a whole. I'm feeling is starting to get quite close to oversaturation.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. I mean, zombies are definitely kind of getting to the point now where they're a bit overdone, and I suppose they have been for a few years now. It just a lot of the time it does seem like a quite a lazy, choice. It's just like, what are we gonna do? Let's do zombies. Oh, okay. Because yeah, for
I
me,
agree, but at the same time, if the zombies are utilized in a different way in comparison to other games that have had them, then it's a fresh take on something already existing, which is only a good thing.
yeah, no, definitely, definitely. So yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to see more of it. And again, I'm hoping they can do something that makes it stand out a bit more from The Last of Us. And certainly, I don't think it's going to have the same kind of emotional depth that game had. But we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. And then they kind of, at that point, big Sean Layton came out, did some, brief chatting about, how great games are, and then disappeared again. And then they put on a trailer for Monster Hunter World, which is coming out in early 2018 now. I know that'll get some people really, really excited. There's a lot of fans out there from Monster Hunter. I'm not really one of them. I've never really been able to get into it or particularly enjoy it. But certainly it looks really nice. Cora, what about you? You're a Monster Hunter fan?
Yes and no. I had Monster Hunter. I had one of the ones on the Wii. My old housemate got it and we played through it, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm always interested to see when they come out, but I don't go out of my way to pick them up, if you like.
Yeah.
So it's one I'll keep an eye on. It looks decent. If it gets good reviews when it comes out, I'll pick it up. But I think I've said this before about a few things. It's not a day one for me, I don't think.
Yeah, no, like I said, I mean, it's not one I'll be picking up, I don't think. But certainly, yeah, it looks good if you've played the previous ones and you're going to be kind of interested to pick up more. Peds, what about you?
I had Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the Wii U, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing it on my own, but more so playing it with a group of friends online. Taking down monsters was awesome, and I haven't played one since simply because I didn't want to play a game in that style on a portable console just because the screen is so tiny. So seeing it being announced for a console, and it looks like a step up from the last few games visually, I'm excited for it. I've been pretty much excited for every game so far. It's a bit boring, really, but I say I'm obviously easy to please. But yeah, it looks good, and hopefully a couple of people on the forum will be picking it up. We could do some online hunting because that was part about 3 Ultimate for me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think if you get the kind of people that pick it up, then yeah, I think the online's going to be a decent part of that for fans of Monster Hunter. But yeah, I mean, looks okay. Like I said, it's not for me because like I've said, I've tried a few times to get into Monster Hunter and it's never quite clicked with me. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're into that, then yeah, definitely looks interesting. And then they kind of rolled on to what I think was their first kind of real surprise of the show, which was they've done an HD remake of Shadow of the Colossus, which is coming out next year. I don't think anybody was expecting that, especially because it's already been part of an HD collection, along with Eco. So
I don't think anyone wanted it either.
I don't know if I would say nobody wanted it, but yeah, I mean, at this point, you're kind of going, well, why have they remade it? I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's, it depends kind of really on how far it's gone. I mean, if they've sorted some of the issues that I had with the older versions of it, where I felt the movement was a little bit clunky and so on. So if they can fix those issues with it, then yeah, I'll probably look at picking that up, because I never got the HD remake for the previous HD collection version of it. So yeah, I would certainly be interested in it. What about you, Cora? Did that do anything for you?
I'm going to be a little bit controversial. I don't like Shadow of the Colossus. I didn't enjoy it when I played it originally. I got the HD. The HD one came out, I think, on PS Plus a few years ago.
Yeah.
I picked that up. I didn't enjoy that. I couldn't get into it. I kind of dropped it after a few hours and never went back to it. So the HD remake is clearly not aimed at me, and it's not floating my boat at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was never one of those people who was kind of, a big fan of Shadow of the Colossus. I liked what I played of it, but what I played of it was quite, a few years after its release. So when I played it, I was like, oh, this is meant to be amazing, and I played it, I was like, yeah, it's okay, it's good. I like what they've done, but I didn't think it necessarily warranted all the praise it got. Maybe that was just I had to be there at the time kind of thing. I don't know, but yeah, for me the issues I always had with it was, like I said, it felt like the controls were quite clunky, and almost quite, they didn't feel very precise in a lot of ways. So if they can change that feel for me, then yeah, I'll be interested in getting it. But yeah, no, I do kind of agree with you. I don't. For me, it's not as big a game as a lot of people think it is, and that's fine if people think that way. I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong. It's just that for me, it wasn't anything particularly amazing. So that was a nice surprise. And then after that, they showed a bit of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is coming out on the 19th of September. And there is a story demo for that out now, so I'm going to probably download that after this and give it a shot. But certainly, I'm a big fan of the Marvel vs. Capcom games, so I'm definitely kind of interested to see where they go with this. What about you, Peds? Do you have any interest in that?
The thing is I like Marvel vs. Capcom, but the problem for me is I'm fucking awful at Marvel vs. Capcom. So while I have an interest in it, I'll probably rent it first, see how badly I suck at it, and then cry in a corner and never touch it again.
A fair point. Yeah, I mean, I will say I am not particularly good at it. I did get to the point where I was pretty decent at the Dreamcast version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So much so that where I could actually one credit the arcade game on the hardest difficulty at one point. So, but yeah, when it comes to playing against other people, especially these days. I'm just not that good anymore. I never really spent a lot of time with 3 or Ultra 3. So yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what Infinite has to offer and see if it's, I can maybe get back into it a bit more, especially kind of online. Kind of being there from the start would be a good kind of step up for me. My main concern with it is the roster. The roster for me is always what kind of makes or breaks a Marvel vs. Capcom game. And I think that's why for me nothing's, as much as I enjoyed 3, it wasn't as good as 2, simply because 2 had this huge roster of characters. I think it was like 52, 53 playable characters you had. So a huge amount of variety. Yes, there were a lot of kind of palette swaps in there, especially with, the kind of, Street Fighter characters, like Ken and Ryu and Akuma and Dan and Sakura, they were all basically the same character with little tweaks. So yeah, as long as they've got the variety in the roster, it will kind of work. And it does look like it has that. I just wish they still had the X-Men characters
Yeah,
there.
so I was going to say, is the character roster going to be as diverse when they've cut out like the X-Men and wherever the characters that Marvel have got the film rights to at the moment?
Yeah,
it's a pretty big thing. It's a pretty big thing. The X-Men and the Fantastic Four make up, a pretty large and diverse part of Marvel's character roster in general.
Exactly.
So I'm a bit worried as to how it's going to fare with just the Avengers and Spider-Man. Obviously there are other sort of lesser characters as well, but the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, they're all very good, but I think the game lives or dies on whether or not it manages to replace the X-Men very well, because they've been a pretty central part of the series. And I know that I'm wavering for the first time over getting one, because the roster's looking a bit grim for me so far.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the X-Men. I mean, it came from the whole series came from an X-Men beat 'em up, Children of the Atom.
Exactly.
And Wolverine has been in every single Marvel vs. Capcom game, right from that very first game. So to not have at the very least him in there is going to take some getting used to. I think I do think that they've got enough characters to put out a roster for it that's going to be different. They, like you said, I mean, they do have Guardians of the Galaxy, they do have the Avengers, Doctor Strange, and so they do have a kind of varied enough roster for the Marvel side of things. And the Capcom side, that's never really an issue, because they've got all the Street Fighter characters. I think Arthur and Mega Man's going to be in at Zero. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely plenty in there. It's just
I wonder if
the variety they need.
I was going to say, I wonder if they'll release X-Men later as some DLC, so that the initial thing is, oh look, they've got the Avengers now, and when the hype have died down a bit, then they release the X-Men, so it doesn't get as much exposure, but the fans who like the X-Men still get to get their X-Men, just for an extra fee.
That would be a disgraceful tactic for me.
Yeah.
I could totally see them doing it, and I can totally see the logic behind it, but if they do that, then I will not buy the game out of principle, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really see them doing that. I think if they were going to do it, they would maybe put at least one of them in. Even if it was just Wolverine's here, and then later on down the line they release like Cyclops and Storm and Magneto and all that. So no, I don't really see them doing it. But yeah, I agree, Connor. If they did that, that would be kind of like, really, that's a bit shit. And Fantastic Four, they've never really had many of the Fantastic Four in the game.
There was a rights issue, I'm sure, for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. They didn't want. They had at least one of them ready to go, and then they ended up changing it and reskinning it with somebody else, I'm sure. I'm not sure why they did that, but there was definitely an issue with putting them in originally. So they're not a particularly big loss, but the X-Men, with such a wide and diverse power range and gimmick ability, it would be massive. And as you say, especially Wolverine, who's pretty much the Marvel mascot for this series.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was front and center for all of them, especially 3. I mean, I remember when they first released that trailer for 3. Obviously you had all the characters facing off. He was the one that they kind of focused on fighting Ryu, who's obviously kind of Capcom's big kind of front and center character for these games. And it was him and Wolverine facing off on like a rooftop, and I still love that trailer. That's still a really good trailer.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I loved it. So yeah, to not have them there yet, it's going to be a loss, and it remains to be seen if it's going to affect the game. Ultimately, the game lives and dies on how it plays, and if it plays well, it will do fine regardless. Because the characters, but they'll fill the niches that they need. It's just like I said, it's a shame not to have them there. Especially Wolverine. I mean, because there was like 2 versions of Wolverine in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That was So yeah, definitely a loss. So yeah, and then they showed the trailer for Call of Duty World War II, which again, I mean, without any gameplay to judge it on, it's hard to say, but it was a good trailer. It looked it's definitely World War II, and it seems that they are kind of going for the serious COD again, after a couple of years of more kind of out there, advanced kind of future warfare stuff. So it's good to see them kind of going back to their roots, so to speak. And I'm definitely interested in it. But we'll see where we stand, because I was interested in Infinite Warfare as well, and I never got that. So, what about you, Cora? Any interest in COD?
No, not really. To be honest with you, it's not my thing at all.
And there you go. That was fairly simple and straightforward. Pets, what about you?
Like yourself, I was also interested in Infinite Warfare, which I did purchase with Modern Warfare, but I haven't played Infinite Warfare, and while it looked alright, I don't know if I'll bother, because I haven't played a COD since Modern Warfare 2, something like that. So I think I'll keep my eye on it, see how it turns out, and reviews and stuff like that, and then I'll make a decision on whether to get it cheap or not bother at all. I think that's my stance on COD this year.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a wait and see for me on it. I'm definitely interested in it, but like I said, is it going to be a launch, a day one purchase? Probably not. And I'll wait and see if I can get it for a reasonable price at some point. The only problem with that kind of strategy for me is that Activision are really, really shitty about reducing the price of it on things like PSN and Steam. They've still got the original Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 for £20 on Steam. It's it's ridiculous. So I've been waiting for that to dip to below a tenner for a long time, and I
bought Modern Warfare and Infinite Warfare off of CD keys for about 30 quid. So you get the 2 games.
Yeah,
so might be worth you looking at doing that if you ever decide you want to try them.
Yeah, maybe.
Instead of
maybe
paying ridiculous amounts for our 10, 15-euro games, on a 10-euro game, is it?
Yeah, I think Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare, sorry, I think it's about 10 years old now. It's crazy how long that game came out, and it's still kind of, for me, one of the high watermarks of the series. It was fantastic, and it's just a shame it kind of just ended up being a cookie cutter versions of Modern Warfare for the next 6 or 7 years with the odd tweak here and there.
They just found a nation kind of kept going with it, and making money.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure you can call it a niche for the amount of money and the copies they sold, but yeah, definitely they found a kind of a groove that worked for them, and they've milked it for the past decade, and to be fair, it does well for them. I think obviously they have seen Senate numbers kind of tail off a little bit in the past few years, so I think this may be be a kind of a reaction to that. It's like, well, let's kind of take it back and do something back there again, see if that helps. And you never know, it might be what they need to kind of reinvigorate interest in a lot of people like myself who've kind of drifted away from it over the years. So yeah, and that's out November 3rd, so we'll keep an eye on that and see how it does. And then we moved on to the kind of PSVR section of the show, which I was definitely really interested to see what they were going to show here, because I mean, as I've mentioned a couple of times during the Post-Mortems, I'm very much on the cusp of putting money down on a PSVR. So yeah, I was really quite interested to see what they had here, and they had some alright stuff. They didn't have anything mind blowing, but some decent looking games. I was actually quite surprised to see Skyrim VR there, because it wasn't announced at the Bethesda show. Bethesda only showed like Doom and obviously Fallout 4 VR. So for them to turn around and go and say, "Oh, by the way, Skyrim VR," seemed a bit odd to me. And why specifically Skyrim more than anything? What about you guys? I mean, was there anything within the VR section that kind of stood out for you? Cora.
The Skyrim thing kind of surprised me a little bit, just because, as you say, we were talking about it yesterday, and it just did not come up in the Bethesda conference at all. Obviously, they've kept it back to the Sony conference, and my thoughts on it are pretty much the same as with the Switch version. It's not really something I'll go out of my way to get, but if I do end up getting VR and it looks decent, then I'll see what I can do. Other than that, it's just I think it's just things we've already discussed, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it actually changes my stance on the Switch version of Skyrim a little bit, because while I was quite happy to, go, yeah, I'll get the Switch version because it's portable, it's got the DLC and stuff, and that works for me. For them to also have a VR version coming out makes me kind of go, well, if I'm going to get a PSVR, it would be good to have something big and meaty that I can spend a lot of time playing, and Skyrim would be perfect for that. So it kind of makes me kind of go, which one of the two would I end up getting? Again, the main question I've got about all those kind of Bethesda VR games, with the possible exception of Doom, is that for Skyrim and Fallout, is it going to be an add-on for the existing game, or is it going to be, here's yet another retail version of Skyrim and Fallout that's specific to VR, or is it just going to be like a DLC patch that they released that lets you play the game you already own? Peds, what about you? Any interest in that?
Well, in Skyrim VR, I've got more interest in Skyrim VR than Fallout 4 VR. I've always preferred, I've preferred Elder Scrolls 4 and 5 to Fallout 3 and 4. I prefer the fantasy setting to the post-apocalyptic setting. But again, I've played through it. I don't know if I'd want to play through it again. The problem as well is now they've announced Skyrim VR. For the Switch version, is it going to cannibalize its sales? And then is that going to be a case of, well, Skyrim didn't do well on the Switch, we won't bother doing any other games for the Switch all the time then. Their own Skyrim VR have affected it, so it's not going to do as well. I think that's one takeaway from there, but if I was to have a VR headset, I'd consider getting Skyrim, because it would be cool to be able to like shoot dragons with arrows and stuff like that. It'd be quite fun, I reckon, but I haven't got a VR headset, so we'll never know.
Yeah, I think for me, thinking about it, I think I would lean more towards the VR version, simply because, like I said, it's a big meaty game that you can get your teeth into. But also, I mean, like you said, taking on a dragon and it's there in your face, going through like the various dungeons and so on. That would be creepy as hell, and then you've got all the joggers coming, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I really want to do that. So yeah, I'm interested to find out more about it. It depends on what the situation with it is. I mean, like I said, is it going to be a standalone thing you need to buy, or is it going to be a patch for the existing special edition of the game, and same for Fallout 4. So yeah, definitely I'll be interested to see where it goes, and depending on where it goes, it might swing me from getting the Switch version. So definitely interested to see that. And then after that, they showed a lot of kind of other smaller VR games. They showed Star Child, which was kind of hard to tell what it was. From understanding, it looked like you're going to play that big robot thing. I may be wrong. But looked interesting. They showed The Inpatient, which is another one of these first-person kind of horror games from the people that did Until Dawn. My understanding is it's a prequel to that. Do either of those two games do anything for you, Peds?
My reaction to Star Child was, because unfortunately, it wasn't enough shown off to know what the hell was going to go on, and I suppose as this, you can't really see the VR aspect of it. It's not going to be as interesting anyway. Yeah. The Inpatient seemed more interesting, though. It seemed a bit weird, and I like weird. So yeah, that's another thing. If I had a VR headset, that I would definitely keep my eye on. You never know, I may end up getting a VR headset at some point, because there is starting to come around now where there are games that are very interesting that I would like to try.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's I think for me, The Impatient looked really interesting, but at the same time, it's a horror game, and it's a horror game in VR, so it will never ever enter my eyeballs. What about you, Cora?
I really liked Until Dawn, so like, I played it with a group of people. Some of whom are on the forum, some of whom are not. And we went through the sort of scenario, picking a character each and making choices. And it just like it really helped the immersion into the game and was really fun actually. So anything they do, anything in that universe, I'm looking forward to. I would like to see how it works out in VR. I'm very interested to see how it works out in VR, and it looks interesting. The other thing you mentioned, I saw a lot of it. I had no idea what was going on and just zoned out. I'm going to be honest with you. It didn't pique my interest particularly.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, those two, The Impatient, definitely the more interesting looking one, but Star Child, I think they showed too little to kind of get any idea of what it actually is, and as a result, I think it kind of made it kind of like, oh, right, okay, it's a thing. And then they showed another. There's three more things that they showed after that. They showed Final Fantasy 15 Monster of the Deep, which is going to be a VR fishing mode. Bravo Team, which just looks like a kind of generic military shooter, and Moss, which looked like some kind of mouse-based platform puzzle game with some combat in it, which they all looked okay. Bravo Team just looked really, really generic, but it's still early days in VR, so games like that, fair enough. Again, any of them interest you guys, Cora?
To be honest, the VR bit after the only other thing that interested me VR wise was actually Star Trek Bridge Crew. Other than that, I'm not really as up to speed on it as I really should be. It's probably because I'm not planning on getting it for another 12 months or so until I've actually got a bit of cash in my pocket. And then I'll do a bit more research. But yeah, the other three didn't really pique my interest too much.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I totally get that. And Peds, what about you? Anything from those three?
Well, on my notes, I've got for Monster of the Deep, no, lol, because no. It just looked crap. Brahma Team, while you said looked very generic, it seemed to be more of a game, unlike a lot of other VR games, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It seemed more of a standard game, which is kind of cool in a sense because you want those experiences on VR headset, but at the same time you do also want something different to show why VR is cool. And that Moss, I thought looked pretty cool, but I was unsure on, do you do puzzle stuff to help the mouse along, or do you control the mouse as well? I assume it was the first one where you help the mouse along but don't actually control it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, definitely some questions hanging over that, with regards to what you do in it. Like you said, are you the mouse? Are you controlling aspects of the environment? What exactly do you do? But yeah, definitely, I thought they looked okay. Monsters of the Deep, it was more interesting than I was expecting it to be. But at the end of the day, it's still just a fishing game, and I've never been a big fan of fishing games. Like I said, Bravo Team looks generic, but okay. Some people really seem to want a Sega Bass fishing follow-up, so yeah, maybe. And then Moss, yeah. And then Moss, I'm a sucker for a kind of indie platformer, especially when it's got a cute wee mouse with big ears. So yeah, that was their VR segment. So some interesting stuff. Nothing maybe mind-blowing, but definitely some interesting stuff for me, at least. And then they moved on to God of War, which they've got coming early 2018. And one of the things I've just put down for it is that it looks epic as fuck. Which is what I want from God of War. I'm really looking forward to that. I kind of never really get a chance to spend too much time with 3, but I'm ready for a new one, and yeah, definitely something that I'm interested in. I mean, it's got the violence, it's got the the over the top kills, and the grim, miserable protagonist. That's exactly what I want from a God of War game, and also the massive monsters to fight. So I'm quite happy for that. Peds, what about you? Are you looking forward to God of War?
Yes. I really like the look of it. I've not really played much of God of War in the past, so I'm like, should I play the previous ones? Because it does seem that it's linked, story-wise, going by stuff that was said. But I also like the look of the gameplay more than the old ones. The other ones look like button mashing kind of games, whereas this looks like you actually have to play with a bit of rhythm. So yeah, it looks cool. I thought it was fucking amazing looking, to be honest. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on that. Definitely.
Yeah, it definitely looks, maybe a little bit more tactical than the old ones, but it's still very much, hit this button to make things explode into red mist, which is always fun. One thing I noticed is they said obviously early 2018. I'm wondering if they're going for the same kind of release window that they gave Horizon, because that obviously did really well for them in that kind of March, late March, early April slot. So maybe they're kind of targeting that same area to see if that kind of helps them there as well. Cora, what about you? Are you looking forward for Kratos?
Yes, is the simple answer. I saw the footage when I woke up this morning, and I think the only thing I've written down is, "Oh my god, look at the beard on Kratos." It looks very very good. I've never actually played a God of War beyond about an hour and a half on God of War 3. So I'm really looking forward to this because I'm going to be getting PS4 around about Christmas time. So Q1 2018 is just pretty much perfect for me. Really up for this one.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, it looks really really good. It's got everything that you kind of want from a God of War game, and it's it seems to be taking it in a slightly different direction. As well. Obviously it's moved away from the old kind of ancient Greek myths and it's more Norse this time. And
I'm quite up for Norse. A bit of Norse mythology. Yeah, I think that's drawing me to the game as well.
yeah, I mean, from what I can tell, just the trailer kind of hinted a little bit the story. I mean, I get the impression it's the same Kratos from the old games. I don't know, maybe if he's basically immortal at this point or whatever. And he's obviously left Greece and he's now living, up in these areas. And it's almost as if the Norse gods have realised he's there and they're like, "What the fuck? You don't belong here," and they want to take him out. That seems to be something I took away from it, and it'll be interesting to see if that is the case. But
I think it's definitely the same Kratos.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where the story goes because he's already kind of taken out the Greek gods. How's they going to write the Norse ones into this? It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the same Kratos. It's just he's got an epic fucking beard.
It's such a good beard. Holy shit, that beard though.
If it was a modern day game, it'd be a hipster as fuck.
Do not call Kratos a hipster.
No. I'm saying if it was set like now, and if he had that beard, you'd look at him and go, "What a hipster wanker," and then he'd rip you in half. Quite rightly. But yeah, looks really really good. Can't wait for that. That's definitely one of the big games that coming from Sony for me this year. Early next year, but definitely looking forward to that. And then they moved on to Detroit Become Human, which I wasn't entirely sure we were going to see that last night. So when it came on, I was quite surprised. And obviously that's from the same people that made Heavy Rain and Fahrenheit and Beyond Two Souls. Now, I didn't really get into Beyond Two Souls, but I was a big fan of Heavy Rain and Fahrenheit, so I'm always interested to see what they come up with, and definitely looks good. It's still got that kind of same slightly shonky acting going on in it, but I always enjoyed the gameplay in them, so definitely looking forward to seeing more of that. What about you, Cora? Is that something that kind of tickles your fancy?
The interactive movie thing is something that I quite enjoy, probably for all the wrong reasons. I remember playing through it with a couple of guys and basically just making the stupidest decisions we possibly could to see what to see how quickly we could get the bad ending, really. But I quite enjoy them. Looking at the sort of visuals and what they've released so far about story and things like that. I think this is going to be one of the games that sells the PS4 for me. So I'm quite excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a kind of a niche kind of title. It's not something that everybody's going to have an interest in. It's not going to be for everybody. But I think if you like those types of games, where the kind of telling a cinematic story and it's all about choices and how you deal with them, I think it's going to be a really good advert for it. And like I said, I will say it didn't look as nice as I expected it to. I was expecting it to look a little bit nicer, just in terms of things like faces and so on. But still, yes, it's still on my radar and still something I'll be looking forward to and seeing how the reviews for it go. What about you, Peds? Do you fancy that at all?
Well, I haven't played Fahrenheit. I didn't play Beyond Two Souls or whatever it's called, but I did play the other one. What was it called again? You
Heavy
did
Rain.
say Heavy Rain. I just didn't like it. So, from past experience, I'm gonna assume I'm not really gonna like it. Um, Maybe it'll be one to rent and see where I go from there. It looked quite nice. The voice acting was bad. And it's cool that you get different choices, and hopefully, unlike Telltale games, there's actually more consequences to the choices you make. But I don't know. It just didn't appeal to me much, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I was saying. If you don't like these kind of games, it's not going to change your mind. So yeah, but for me, looks really good. Looking forward to it, and like I said, I'll wait and see how it reviews, and kind of go from there. I think. So yeah, Detroit Become Human, looking interesting. And it's nice to see something that's a little bit different as well. I mean, it's not all just guns and fighting and platforming and puzzles. It's here's something that's trying to tell a story. So it's nice to see it getting quite a prominent place in the show. And then that moved us on to Destiny 2. They showed a trailer for that. That's coming on the 6th of September, and it's going to have PlayStation exclusive strike, gear, weapon, and map. So yeah, I mean, it's not something that's really came up at all this E3. I expected we would have seen more of it, but are you guys any interest in Destiny 2, Peds?
Well, I really enjoyed Destiny for the period of time I played it. I played it with people off G Arcade mainly, and I thought it was really good. But it kind of got a bit boring just doing the same raids over and over again. I'm hoping that there's like a better story and more interesting cast of characters and things like that to try and raise the bar above the first game. But it's probably something I'll pick up on the PS4 if the people from G Arcade are going to be playing it on a regular basis, because it was fun. And hopefully the multiplayer is better than the first game, because I didn't like it very much. The team deathmatch, yeah, because obviously multiplayer can be counted as co-op. It was good, yeah. But hopefully 2 will improve upon the first game.
Cool. And what about you, Cora? Any thoughts on Destiny?
No, I think Pez is right. Really, it needs a slightly better story, maybe a little bit more variety. It's one that I'm kind of waiting to see how it turns out, because I played the first one, but I didn't bother picking it up because it didn't grab me as much as as I really wanted it to. So I'm waiting to see how it reviews. I think before I jump in. As I say, a bit more variety than the first one, and I think it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would pretty much agree with everything you guys have just said there. I mean, I think I'd like the story to be a bit more front and center, because I mean, I was one of those people who played Destiny primarily solo. I didn't play too much of the co-op. I played some, but not too much. So, as somebody who played it primarily solo, I thought that the story, left a lot to be desired, and it was a bit disappointing in that respect. So I'd like to see more of that, instead of having to go and read all the Grimoire cards to get the lore. I thought that, yes, some more variety in what you're doing, because it did essentially boil down to just, you walk over this way, kill everything in the path, and then teleport back to the base and then go and do it somewhere else. So yeah, I'd like some more variety in it. And certainly, if I do get it, I will be planning to play more co-op than I did, on the first game, because it certainly seems to be that's where the bulk of the content is. That's where the bulk of the game is, doing the strikes and the raids and so on with other people. So I'll be looking to probably give that a shot when it comes out. Again, depending on how it reviews. But yeah, so Destiny 2, more Destiny. Not bad thing really. Just if as long as they can fix those niggles with it, then it could be excellent. And that then kind of brought us on to the their final game, which for me was this was the highlight of the Sony show for me. It was Spider-Man, which looks fantastic. Just absolutely stunning looking game. And yeah, cannot wait for this. So, Connor, what about you? I mean, are you a Spider-Man fan?
This game blew my fucking mind out. It was I have honestly, I've grown up with Spider-Man in my mum's old house. I've got literally a crate full of old UK reprints of Spider-Man comics. I'm
Nice.
steeped in the lore. It's nice to see a nod to the Kingpin. It's nice to see Mr. Negative,
Yes.
Yuri Watanabe. Just it looks like they've taken Spider-Man. It looks like they've given it to people who actually care about Spider-Man and about making a game that is going to appeal to as many people as they possibly can. They've not just thrown in like movie-related things. They've not just they've not just chucked in sort of base nods to the comic. It looks and feels like Spider-Man's New York. And I know people are sort of complaining about it having a few too many QTEs in it, but I think that the QTE system works well with the power set that Spider-Man has. The fact that it goes into slow motion and he has to react to things with the spider sense, I think that it works. I think that someone mentioned on the forum that it needs to be probably scaled back a little bit, sort of used in story missions more than on a very regular basis, and I agree with that. But I'm so excited with everything I've seen. This is the game. This is the game that will absolutely sell the PS4 to me. No questions asked. It just I can't speak highly enough about it. It's up there with Wolfenstein for my game of the show so far, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I'm a massive Spider-Man fan. It's really really good to see a game that finally seems to really do him justice. I mean, I know that obviously there have been all right Spider-Man games in the past. I think Spider-Man 2 is always kind of held up as a good example of it. But this,
that and the Spider-Man PS1 game, I think, are the sort of highlights of his gaming career.
Yeah, definitely.
I like Shattered Dimensions.
Yeah,
that's the one where you play as Noir.
Yeah.
2099.
It was okay. It was
it was alright. It was an amazing game, but I quite enjoyed playing it. It was quite fun.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's good to kind of see a game that finally seems to get him right. Let's spot on. I mean, the movement looks right. The dialogue seems to fit. The combat seems right. It seems that they've taken what they needed from the kind of the Arkham games, and in terms of the context sensitive ways of taking down bad guys. When you're being stealthy, and then when you're seen kind of going into that kind of combat kind of setting, it kind of worked. And I like that there's kind of prompts around the environments to so if you want to get bits of the environment involved in the fights, it works as well. And just things like these web shooters, and the things you can do with that looks really really cool. I'm definitely very very sold on this game. I mean, I was sold on it last year when they first revealed it, but to actually see it at this point was fantastic. And then like you said, stuff like Mr. Negative, the nods to Fisk. Captain Watanabe. It's a very specific point in time for Spider-Man that I need to read up on it again to find out exactly what it is. But big fan.
Sort of, they've moved it into the brand new day kind of era. I think with some of the characters that they've used. Just one more point. I've played. I can never remember the game's name. It was an Xbox One exclusive, and it's the developers that made that in 2015. And there's a lot of kind of hanging on wires, moving about and stuff like that. And I remember when I heard that they were developing it, I was actually quite excited for it, because I thought, well, they've had a bit of a trial run. Let's see what they can really do with Spider-Man, and it looks like they've picked up the ball and ran with it. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, it was Sunset Overdrive, I think.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely was.
I just completely lost that game in my mind there, but yeah, that's it.
That game was brilliant.
Yeah, I think that game had that problem when it came out, and it did quite well. It was well regarded, decent, and things like the movement of the characters was kind of one of the things that people pointed out, saying it was really really good. But I think as times went on, people have kind of forgotten that it exists. So hopefully this will come out and kind of remind people. Oh, by the way, they did this game as well, which is really good. So yeah, I'm so sold on Spider-Man. It looks fantastic. Maybe a couple of things to tweak. I think somebody said that the kind of the UI interface on the screen looks a bit iPad-y, and I can maybe see where they're coming from with that. So, but at the end of the day, it's not going to ruin my enjoyment of the game.
It's a very minor thing. I think they can do better on it, but they will do better on it by the time it comes out. It looks like that's the kind of thing I could really pick it up on.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and yeah, I think I'm kind of with you, Cora. It's up there for me. It's probably one of my games of the show so far. It's up there with Wolfenstein. It's up there with Battlefront 2. Yeah, cannot wait to see this game.
The thing is with the QTEs, is like people were saying it's like a QTE fest, and I was thinking about it after watching it, and I was thinking, well, it wasn't really a QTE fest, because at the start of it, you were like stealthily sneaking around. Then you got into proper combat. The QTE section was with the helicopter. I can't see that being the case with every single person you got up against. You can have that. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it'll be like QTEs galore, because like the combat was reminiscent of Arkham Asylum, but you could do like a bit more because you've got your web slingers and stuff. Yeah, I think that was probably the game of Sony's conference for me as well.
Yeah,
I can't wait for Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think the QT thing it's gonna live and die with if they get the balance right on them. If there is a lot of them, then that maybe isn't going to be great. But if they can get the balance right, where they use them when it's appropriate and it works, and it makes sense to use them, fantastic. But yeah, ultimately you want to do as much as you can just in in normal control.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm so psyched for this game.
It's the most hyped up I've been for a game, I think, in a number of years. It looks like everything I've ever wanted.
You were so hyped up, you popped a boner.
I literally have. You've no idea.
Spider boner. And
his spider sense is tingling.
Yeah. Okay, so and that was it. That was Sony's conference. It was a relatively short showing for Sony, to be honest. But I think it wasn't a bad show. There was some good stuff in there.
I was disappointed about one thing.
What?
I was hoping that Resident Evil 2 remake would be shown. I know it's not like explicitly going to be for PS4, but I was hoping that Resident Evil 2 remake would come up, because Resident Evil remake is probably my favorite Resident Evil, and Resident Evil 2, I played most of it but not all of it, and people say it's better than the first one. So if they do justice to the remake of 2, then it should be better than the remake of 1. So I'm gutted that we didn't get to see any of that. And I was also a bit disappointed that a lot of the stuff they showed seemed to be coming next year more than this year.
Yeah, that was a bit of a thing for me. I was under the impression that they were going to be showing Gran Turismo. I don't know where I got that from, but I was under the impression that Gran Turismo was going to pop up, and that didn't. But I'd agree with you, Ped. I think that Resident Evil 2 needs to be getting shown soon. I'm extremely excited for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was some stuff shown prior to the show, actually. In their pre-show, I think they showed off a couple of things, and I think GT Sport was one of them. There was that, and there was a couple other things. Nothing like amazing, groundbreaking, but yeah, there was a couple other games looked at that, so it's going to be worth taking a look in to see what they were. But yeah, it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't the best show they've ever done. Especially coming after last year, which was just here's all these games that you want. That it didn't seem to be quite there this year. Despite God of War looking amazing and Spider-Man looking amazing, yeah. Beyond that, there wasn't too much that was just like, yeah, I absolutely have to play this.
I think there's enough in there for me.
Yeah.
As a non PS4 owner, I think there's enough in there for me to be getting quite excited about. Sort of 6 months to a year down the line, and thinking, well, this is when I'm going to be getting my PS4. This is when I'm going to be getting involved.
Yeah, I think taken so far E3 as a whole, so far, I mean, there's enough coming over the next 6 to 12 months for me that I'm not really too bothered that there's no maybe big PlayStation exclusives coming until early next year, because that's fine, because like I said, they've got Wolfenstein coming, there's loads of things
Evil Within
in
2.
the way. Evil Within 2,
You'll never play.
I will never play. And the stuff Nintendo's got coming over the next few months, so I've got plenty to keep me going, so I'm not that disappointed with Sony at all. In fact, I was quite happy with the show. So yeah.
The takeaway for me is while a lot is coming next year, there is a lot of games that I want from the conference. It's good. At least 8 of those games I want to get. You know, that's quite good considering they only announced about 14. It's more than half of them.
Yeah, I think it was
solid
decent
hit rate,
round.
isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, so that was Sony's E3 conference. Not bad all round, I think. So yeah, make sure and join us for our sixth and final post-mortem, which is going to be Nintendo, which should be up not long after this one, so keep an eye out for that. And make sure and join us on grk.co.uk to talk about E3 some more. So yeah, that's going to be us. It's goodbye from me, and it's going to be goodbye from Corazon and Peds. Say goodbye, guys.
I know.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.